Evening all, as old Jack Warner used to say. Well, it's not been a great couple of weeks. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away at the end of February. So it weren't great, especially for my wife, of course. She was a bit lucky in a way, I suppose, because of the travel restrictions, because my wife's mum lived in Northern Ireland. But she did manage to get there before she died, so she did at least get to see her, which is a lot more than a lot of people have had during this pandemic. And we were allowed to travel for the funeral, so we did get to the funeral. But a bit of a sad time, obviously, for my wife, because it was her mum. It don't matter how old your mum is or how old you are, when your mum dies, it's a pretty rough old time. But anyway, I obviously ain't been doing much for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've managed to catch up on some bits that I've had to do for work, and so now I'm back in my shed tonight thinking about me buggy. So since the last time you all saw the buggy anyway, I've managed to put the brake on it. This is just the brake off of the old scooter. I just used the old Boss that I had the cog on from the old motor, as I've only got one motor now. So I just used the Boss for that, got the drum on that, and put the gubbins off the scooter on it. It's not the best brake in the world, but it does slow it down. I mean, I haven't tried it moving along properly yet. Definitely stops the axle. What it'll be like under load, I don't know, but it's only really to slow me down and sort of give you a bit of control going down hills, really, on a golf course. It's never going to pass an MOT for an emergency stop, and I'm not sure if it'll be any good when it's got me and a set of golf clubs on it, but that remains to be seen. That may need to be altered later, but it may work. But this is what I'm working on at the moment. This is to up the torque on it. So I've got this bit of round stock. I've bored it out to take these 2 bearings. I'm going to press them in later. I've made this, right, let's get it in a bit of order. I've made this that's going to come through there. I've made this Boss which screws on, and then this sprocket will sit on there, and I've got to drill and tap that to screw it in. And then I've got somewhere which I appear to have lost. Well, somewhere I've got the other little sprocket that was on the other motor, the little motors, which goes on there. Oh, there it is. That goes on there with a couple of washers, with a nut, and then I've got this little L bracket which I've put a slot in so I can adjust it. I'm just going to weld that on there, and then mount it up and see how it goes. So next thing to do is drill and tap these for screwing this sprocket on. So this is it assembled. Yeah, better idea. So the motor's going to drive this big wheel, and then this little wheel's going to drive the axle, and that should give it a lot more torque. It will reduce the speed. I sort of calculated at the full revs on the motor, just going by the circumference of the wheels on the buggy, it would be capable of 17 mile an hour, which I don't want to do on it. So as long as I can get between 4 and 6 mile an hour with it when it's under load, that'll be fine. But I'm going to have to get this on the buggy with the motor and give it a try. So that's what the driving gear now looks like, or it will when I get it all bolted down. I just got to mark it up and bolt it on now. Well, that's him bolted on and all connected up. It's all working. Now I've got to try and get it outside and see if it'll go. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I've also changed the front wheel. It's got a pneumatic front wheel on it now, little pump up one. Better than that square thing, I think. Do less damage to the golf course. I'll do enough of that myself with my irons. Anyway, I'll stick the battery on it, we'll see how it goes. Well, I've got no idea what just happened. I connected the battery up and it blew the controller up. I'm going to have to buy another controller. Bloody nuisance. So, until a new controller turns up, the buggy's on hold unless I do some other stuff on the bodywork of it. It was perfectly alright in the shed. I must have done something pulling it out of the shed, or I connected it up wrong on the battery. Just hope I ain't buggered the battery up. Oh well, see you in the next one.